It's Wednesday! You know what that means! I'm better than you, and you know it! You fucking mark! Listen, get it! Hard down, bro! What is up, everybody? What is up? We are live here on the Sports Jedi Network on a Wednesday night, immediately following AEW Dynamite. I am your host, PGH Chris, and welcome to the post show again here on the Sports Jedi Network. Whether ever you're watching me here on X or here on YouTube, really, but X, Twitch, Instagram, Kick, Rumble, all audio platforms, I appreciate your support. I appreciate with you being here with me tonight. I also want to thank our sponsors, Dude Wipes. Dude Wipes is one of the official sponsors here on the Sports Jedi Network. We've been affiliated with Dude Wipes way before WWE. And please go support Dude Wipes. Here is all the promos codes you can use. Text Dude, save 20 to 59463, and we'll send you a code for 20% off your order, as well as Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee, use promo codes Rumble or Sports Jedi 20. Save yourself 20% off your order at blackoutcoffee.com/rumble. If you guys like the coffee, if you're I know a lot of people like the morning coffees. My family likes the morning coffees. If you don't like coffee, you can get yourself some G Fuel Energy. Use your promo code PGHChris to save yourself 20% off. And one more time, thank you to all of our sponsors and affiliates who support the channel. Make sure you go support them the way they support us. And before we get into the show, make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, leave a bell notifications. Super chats are open. That is the best way to support the show, is to send super chats, super stickers, and we will definitely put them up on stage and get it rolling. So thank you guys for being here with me on a Wednesday night for AEW Dynamite. Salute to our guy Daniel Perry Sports Highlights for always being here on all of our shows. We appreciate you, man. We're going to get into the review. Before I start this review, I actually enjoyed Dynamite tonight. No, it's not because Chris Jericho came back, or it's because we had Kenny Omega or MJF face-to-face contract signing. You guys notice how I'm live at 10 o'clock? I started 3 minutes late because I just wanted to make sure I was set. They did not do that much. They did a 1 minute overrun, which they didn't really have to, but they could have went off the air when MJF held up that World Championship right there. But whatever. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. Not too much happened. They kind of let everything sort of breathe out, including the contract signing, leading into the trios match, all the way to the main event. I thought the main event was very good. But we're gonna get into it. A lot of things happened in the matches, but we're gonna try to break this down as much as we can. But they were live in Winnipeg tonight. There's a lot of speculation that Chris Jericho was going to show up on this show, and I mentioned on my end on the PGH Chris show today, which you guys could also go subscribe to at PGH Chris TV on YouTube. I mentioned that Chris Jericho wasn't going to come back. It's not that I think he was going to come to WWE. I didn't see him coming to AEW right now. He just ended his tour with Fozzy not that long ago, overseas. So I just figured it'd be a little bit until we actually saw Chris Jericho, but we saw him tonight. It was good. It was I don't want to say surprising because Fightful and a lot of media outlets and a lot of people have kind of already brought it up to light, or kind of, I guess, quote unquote, reported it that Chris Jericho was going to be there. It's April Fools. I don't believe into the April Fools bullshit. I don't buy into any of that, but I know a lot of people do. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, Chris Jericho's coming. Chris Jericho's coming." I'm one of those people, not in just this situation. I can take it back to when CM Punk was coming to WWE, and everyone's like, "Oh, CM Punk's coming to WWE, this and that." I'm like, "No, he's not." Like whatever. I have to believe it until I see it. So they started it off. They did the fireworks. Tony Schiavone's in the ring talking, and in the middle of his, as he's talking, all you hear is Judas. I'm gonna say this. I had this feeling throughout the entire show. Winnipeg, you guys fucking suck as a crowd, guys. You guys are probably the worst crowd of the year. You guys actually had a Dynamite that you guys had Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, MJF, fucking Adam Copeland and Christian, Will Ospreay, and you had a hometown here guy in Mike Speedball Bailey in the main event, and you guys were quiet. I could hear a pin drop. I could hear a cotton ball drop inside of that arena. What the hell were you guys doing? Now, did the arena look? No, the arena actually looked. It looked. I don't want to say packed, but it looked relatively full. It looked good, especially when they did the shot where Chris Jericho came back and they zoomed it out. It actually looked good, but they were quiet as hell. Nobody had no energy, even when Chris Jericho came out. I don't know what happened, but Chris Jericho comes out. He walks in the ring. He kind of lets the crowd glaze him and lets the crowd, kind of whatever. You can see it too. He's trying to get this crowd like going. And he's like, damn, I waited for my return to be in Winnipeg on Dynamite, where he relatively could have came back on Revolution. But, there were so many things going on at Revolution with Ronda Rousey, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Edge and Cope and fucking Cage, excuse me. So I think if Jericho shows up at Revolution, I think a lot of people are complaining, and I think a lot of things overshadow with Will Ospreay, especially because that was kind of the main thing. He already kind of got overshadowed with Ronda Rousey. So I'm kind of curious, on why the crowd wasn't as energetic as I thought they should have been. But he basically says, "I'm home," shutting down the WWE rumors once and for all. He will not be returning back to the company, um, at least for the time being. Now, I hate to say I told you so, but I'm gonna say I told you so. Uh, guys, I don't know why we really thought Chris Jericho was gonna go to the WWE. I'm not saying that he's not ever gonna go to the WWE. I'm not saying he's ever not gonna, I'm not saying he's not on good terms with these people. I don't know that. We don't know that. Fightful doesn't know that. But the point is, I'm curious on what they're gonna do with Chris Jericho. I thought he looked pretty badass coming out. I thought he looked, I don't want to say jacked, but you can definitely tell he's been taking his health, and his age is catching up to him. Doesn't have many years left. So he looked good. I thought the fireworks were good. He didn't come out to he didn't look corny. He didn't say anything corny. He just said something really simple. And that makes me, want to tune in again to see Jericho. What's Jericho going to say? Who's Jericho's going to be feuding with right away? Who's his first match going to be? Is he going to be one of the baby faces or is he going to be a baby face or heel first off? But is he going to be one of these baby faces that challenge MJF? We'll get into the challengers potentially for MJF in the future, but Chris Jericho's back with AEW. He returns tonight in front of his home crowd in Winnipeg, and we'll see where it goes. But man, that crowd really needed some energy. They felt no energy. Shout out to you, Sherry. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining the show, for watching here on a Wednesday afternoon. Immediately following AEW Dynamite here on the Sports Jedi Network. Just talking about a little bit Chris Jericho again. Curious to see who's going to feud with. Curious to see if he's going to challenge for the AEW Championship. He'd be a good babyface if he is going to be babyface, but I think he tried to be that heel. Maybe the learning tree heel kind of character didn't work. If he was that original La Champion character that he was when he first came to AEW, sorta, I think he could be something. I think fans would like it. But for now, I see him being a babyface, and after Wembley, or depending on who the champions are, we'll see what's in line for Jericho. But he's back in AEW. We'll get into more of that this Saturday, weekly wrestling with Kev. Curious to see what he thinks about it. And we're gonna have a more on-depth conversation. That show does really well. Make sure you guys go check us out every Saturday at 1:30. One of the times. It's always one of those two times though. So go check us out as I am trying to grab a beverage. Excuse me. Trying to grab something here. Door was open, but curious to see where Jericho's going to go. So that was cool to see him open up the show, but they went immediately to where they were going to start off, which was the contract signing between the AEW World Champion MJF and Kenny Omega. They're signing the contract for their match at AEW Dynasty April 12th, 1 week from Sunday. I like how they start off with this because we know AEW likes to start off with match and match and match. And this was different. This was good. This was personal. The look on Kenny Omega's face when MJF called Ibushi his boyfriend, I thought that was fucking hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. Kenny Omega really kind of looked like, whoa. And I heard a couple people say this, and I wanted to give Kenny Omega the benefit of the doubt because I've seen his work early in AEW. I mean, you could argue, right, him not being a great promo even back then because he had Don Callis doing a lot of the talking for him. But I do think MJ, when he is in the promo segments, when he is on the mic toe to toe with MJF, you can just tell that he's not, I don't want to say there, but you can tell MJF just outshines him. He outshines him all around. I mean, please, I'm begging AEW, I'm begging Tony Khan, do not take the title off MJF at Dynasty. No point in having MJF chase. I'm so freaking sick and tired of the chase. Whether it's Cody Rhodes chasing that freaking Universal title, whether it's Mike Santana chasing the TNA championship, whether it's MJF, whoever, I'm sick of the chase. When there are certain people that you don't need the chase, you just give them the title. MJF's one of them. This was good. I liked it. Speedball Bailey comes out. Last week on Dynamite, Speedball did say he wanted a championship match between the winners of Kenny Omega and MJF at Dynasty. And he's kind of on MJF's side, or excuse me, Kenny Omega's side, Canadian connection. He comes out and basically says he wants a match with MJF. MJF gives him a match, and it'll be Kenny Omega or Mike Speedball Bailey, excuse me, versus MJF in a title eliminators match in the main event, which we will get into later on in the show. We have Kenny Omega, Brody King, and Jack Perry. So they transition into that 6-man, which I said on my show, on my end, I was hoping they did this because it would make no sense to have this contract signing do either a segment or a match, which most likely would be a match. They're not going to do 2 segments in a row, but they're going to do a match and then have this segment later on, or have the match later on after they did the segment. Just do it all there. So that's what they did. It was the team of Kenny Omega, Brody King, and Jungle Jack Perry versus Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, the Demand. Now it makes sense, sorta. I mean, not really. I'm very, Perry and Ricochet have their beef in there. feud going on. But again, Kenny Omega has nothing to do with Brody King in the Gates of Agony just because he says that Brody King is the most quote unquote dangerous man in AEW. I don't want to see them tag team in a trios match. If you wanted them to tag team, you should have done the old school way. I don't like it, but you should have had MJF in a tag team, whatever, and had MJF and Brody King or Brody King and Kenny tag team because they have their differences and have, I don't know, MJF and Ricochet, something. But the 6-man tag, it wasn't that bad. I'm getting real sick of the freaking trios. I think AEW outdoes the trios. I think 6-man tags are supposed to be matches when it's, 6 people feuding against each other. And this doesn't feel like it. It feels really the only feud I really see going on between any of these participants is Ricochet and Jack Perry. And they're feuding over a meaningless championship. So it was an okay match. I still don't think this match needed to happen. I'm not going to rant about that. Did that last week. But, Kenny Omega gets the pin. The baby faces win. And now Kenny Omega's full focus from here on out has to be MJF in that World Championship going into Dynasty. Before we get into the Will Ospreay and PAC match, Cope and Christian were backstage looking for FTR. Renee Paquette said they were going to be on Collision. So FTR basically says they are going to wait. They're going to be on Collision, which they advertised Collision very, very heavy. I don't know if it's because they're going on Thursday at 8 o'clock and they want to make that first hour just interesting enough so where people aren't watching TNA at 9 o'clock or whatever it is. But I don't know. They advertised the shit out of Collision. They're trying to make Collision something. They got Willow Nightingale, which later on in the show, she says she wants an open challenge. So are we expecting a debut or are we just going to get somebody in the roster already? We shall see. But before we get into the Will Ospreay and PAC match, I want you guys to hear a quick word from our sponsor, Blackout Coffee.
Sports Jedi Nation, you already know. I don't start my day without two things. Standing firm in what I believe in and a cup of coffee that actually represent those values. That's why I rock with Black Alcohol. It's a 100% American company, unapologetic, patriotic, pro Second Amendment, and anti-woke nonsense, no corporate hustle, no virtual signing, just real coffee for people who still believe in God, family, and freedoms. Every bag is a roast right here in my beautiful state of Florida, and it's shipped straight to your door. Fresh, bold, no compromises. If you need to hit the ground running, the Morning Reaper I suggest. A medium roast that goes smooth, powerful, and kicks like a moon. Support a company that actually gives a damn about this thing. Go to Blackout Coffee. Use my promo code RUMBA for 20% off or Sports Jedi 20 of your first order. Blackout Coffee. Wake up, stand up, never back down. Fuel your freedom. Real coffee with real values. A bold, backed by freedom. Wake up and think free. And may the sports be with you.
May the sports be with you always indeed. Blackout Coffee, the official sponsor of one of the official sponsors of the Sports Jedi Network. Moving on to our match here, PAC versus Ospreay. PAC comes out first at his entrance. Ospreay comes out. PAC goes up, hits Ospreay, hits the neck, goes after the neck, and the doctors they come out. The one doctor there is trying to tell Will Ospreay, you can't continue, you can't continue. Will Ospreay is trying to go, the ref's trying to stop, and eventually the ref just gives up. And the match starts. Well, you could see the referee going to Ospreay. Are you okay? Do you want to start? Listen, first off, I don't know how I feel about that because let's be honest, right? If you're in a UFC fight, this is just my theory. I'm not an MMA diehard, but I'm a fan. Just a fight. I'm a martial artist, so I'm thinking of it in that point of view. Even an athlete, as a former football player, if I have an injury and I'm telling myself, people like to lie about their injuries. It happens when you're, you know, the best in your team. In this case, when you're on top of the card and you're main eventing these shows and you're super over, whether it's heel or babyface, you really can't afford to get injured. Now, I think with Will Ospreay, him getting injured, him coming back, it kind of it makes him more over that he's back. I kind of wanted to say something in the terms of my football reference, but I kind of forgot. Um, but okay, this is what I wanted to say. So if I'm hurt and I tell my coach, "Hey, coach, I'm good. I'm good. I want to fake my injury because I don't want to lose my spot on the team." And coach is like, "Okay, okay." The referee's like, "Is he good?" Yes, he says he's good. But the fucking doctor starts running and says, "No, he shouldn't. No, no." What do you think my coach and the referee is going to do? They're going to tell me that I can't participate. This is what exactly should have happened. This is what would happen in a normal setting. How come the doctor allowed allowed the referee to let this match continue? Now I get it, guys. I get it. They're telling a story. They're telling a story with Will Ospreay's neck. They're selling the shit out of it. Even when the match started, Pac was beating up the neck very, very heavy. I felt like they wanted to do this for multiple reasons. Obviously, built Will Ospreay up. Not that he needs build up because he's Will Ospreay and I think he's one of the more over guys in the company. But we haven't seen him in a while. The injury is pretty serious. So I think they want to build up Will Ospreay and get, that crowd, that baby face, momentum behind him going into possibly All In Wembley. My problem is I don't think he needs to be having a match. I think you could be doing this by promos. Again, he should have not wrestled Blake Christian on that Dynamite. He should have went out there and done promos. Now, if you wanted to have this match with Pac, I'm fine. It's not a nobody. Pac's involved with the Death Riders. It made sense. But for Ospreay to go against Blake Christian and not really do anything or at least explain anything till later on when he actually challenges for the title, it's just like, oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? I want to see Will Ospreay speak. I want to see Will Ospreay tell us what he went through. That's my only thing. The crowd did not get behind Will Ospreay. This crowd was quiet as shit. They did a lot. Pac did a great job beating up on Will Ospreay's neck. Will Ospreay did a great job of selling it. There are certain moves when I watch Will Ospreay now, I'm just like I grind my teeth and just like hope for the best because the injury is really serious. And I don't know. I don't know if the AEW wrestler or medical staff get a bad rep, but you got to be careful. You got to be careful. There was a lot of pitcher matches or pitcher commercial breaks in this match. There were 2. Not that that's a lot, but they did those at spots where the match was starting to flow. Certain spot, 2 kind of not big spots, but interesting spots. I think the pitcher placement was a little off in this match. But the referee botched the pin on that Styles Clash when Will Ospreay hit the Styles Clash. Dude, it was 1, 2, 3, and the referee hit the 3, but counted it as a 2. Even the crowd was like, "That's a 3, that's a 3." Anyway, Ospreay wins. Moxley comes out with the Death Riders. They beat him up, and Moxley gets on the mic and says, "This is not personal, so don't make it." I think they're gonna make it personal. I think again with them attacking the neck, Will Ospreay's made it personal about talking about his mother and his sons when they talk about what Moxley did to him in front of them. So it's already kind of personal. but I don't think Moxley's trying to make it more personal on his end because I think Ospreay kind of voluntarily brought that up on his own. So we'll see what the match turns out to be at Dynasty. I think it's going to be a good match. I'm still a little bit skeptical on if it should be for the Continental Championship when I do think Will Ospreay's ultimate goal, ultimate, destiny this year in AEW is to win the Owen Hart Cup and go challenge MJF. Which, look, we don't know who's going to be the AEW champion, but it should be MJF going into Wembley Stadium. They're going to have another match at Wembley, this time in the main event. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I don't know why they're having this match, but again, Moxley is the Continental Champion, so it would be weird, at least in the wrestling terms, right, for a champion not to defend his title if he's having a match on the pay-per-view. So maybe they should have had PAC versus Ospreay on the pay-per-view, guys. I don't know if that would have been better. And maybe take the title off Moxley, but again, maybe they want to wait to the Continental Classic. So I have a feeling that whoever holds that Continental Championship is going to hold it until the Continental Classic, and then that's when it's like, okay, then this guy might lose. But until then, I don't see it. But you can't have Will Ospreay lose. You cannot have Will Ospreay lose a match, a singles match clean in 2025, unless it's MJF. So my point is, you cannot have him lose before Wembley. That's my honest opinion. You cannot have him lose a one-on-one match clean before Wembley. Do not even think about giving him the Owen Hart Cup if he fucking loses a match before. Build that momentum going into the Owen so that when he wins it, people are behind him. And maybe he does beat MJF for the championship. I don't think he should, but maybe he does. So we'll move on. We'll move on with that one. Again, I think Will Ospreay and Moxley is going to be a hell of a match. I don't know really if Will Ospreay wins the Continental Champion, then what? That's kind of where I'm a little bit disconnected, to be honest. But it was still good stuff. It was still good stuff. We go into another trios match, but this time between the ladies, and it is the trios team of Mina Shirakawa, the Brawling Birds, which is Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter, taking on Tekla. Tekla, your AEW Women's World Champion, Tekla, Sky Blue, and Julia Hart. The match was fine. The baby faces won. I think they're still building up Mina versus Tekla. Maybe they might have another match. I think Jamie Hayter's great. I would love to see her and Tekla one-on-one in the future. I do think Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor, they're going to go for the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. That's no question. We see that coming from a mile. I'm just curious to see on how that's going to play out. Mina, I think she'll probably have another match against Tekla, but we'll see what happens next for Tekla. I don't know what Sky Blue and Julia Hart are necessarily gaining out of being in a team with Tekla right now. I think Tekla should be doing her own thing. She tried winning with the brass knuckles like she did against Mina. It didn't work. Jamie Hayter ends up getting the pin on Sky Blue, I believe. And Mina and the Brawling Birds, Mina and friends win. Again, not a bad match. I'm sick of the trios, but there's a story there between all of these ladies, which I can't say the same for the men's trio we had to start the show. Again, the Brawling Birds. Maybe we'll see a triple threat tag team match between these ladies. I do think Sky Blue and Julie Hart could be the tag team champions. If they want to put them to be the tag team champions, I actually think that gives that little group, that little faction that Tekla, Sky Blue, and Julia Hart have going on a little more credibility. If all of them are champions, I do think that. So maybe that's the outcome in the future. But Mina and the Brawling Birds get the win. And we move on to Darby Allin. He comes out and he calls out MJF. He said something last week where he wants a championship match coming up against MJF, which I'm happy for because ask Kev, I was very sick, very annoyed with him being with Orange Cassidy. Oh my god, I can't believe I said his name. We're talking about this guy. We're talking about this guy. Yeah, get the fuck out of my screen. Orange Cassidy, I'm tired. We did not see him on the show. Thank God. You won't hear a Pockets rant this week, but you will hear. You will hear Bendejo, Darby Allin, because he was on the show tonight. I think Darby Allin, he calls out MJF, whatever. And then because the Don Callis family is being paid by MJF. MJF told the Don Callis family that he'll pay them to take out Darby Allin, which is what they did. I think Darby Allin calling out MJF. I think he probably will be the challenger for Double or Nothing. I don't really know what other baby faces they're kind of building up right now. Now, I'll go back to that, right? Because I said I've mentioned this for a while now, for the last couple of months, for the last month at least, since MJF's had the title. They're feeding a lot of baby faces towards MJF. MJF is his ultimate heel. He is your ultimate heel in all elite wrestling, one of the best heels in the business. And you have him as your world champion. You're feeding him a lot of the big baby faces. Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega at Dynasty coming up. Now Darby Allin's in that contention. Will Ospreay. I think Chris Jericho could fit. He could fit. He's a big part of AEW. He's the first ever champion. He's the reason why they're on the network that they are. Good stuff is coming out of this. But again, I think Darby will be the challenger at Double or Nothing. I'm curious to see how he actually gets there. I'm curious to see how what his path is to challenging MJF for the world title. I think it'd be a good match. I know I was personally excited to see these guys go at it during MJF's first title run, and then they ended up doing the Pillars storyline between Sammy Guevara. Well, they added Sammy Guevara and Jack Perry to the feud. The match was still very good. Their Fatal 4-Way match was good. They told a good story, but I think we've been waiting to see this for a while. You could argue that Darby maybe should have been the one to take the title off Hangman at that time. I know Ospreay was in the finals between Hangman at Double or Nothing last year in Arizona, but I do think if Darby doesn't climb Everest, I do think the story would have ended with him because again, the story was with him. It really wasn't with Hangman. In my opinion, it started to, but the real thing, the real story, the real ending to the Death Riders at All In Texas last year realistically should have been Darby Allin winning the championship. But he'll get his chance probably at Double or Nothing. Again, don't think he wins it. That's the pay-per-view right before All In Wembley. So I believe. So we'll see what happens with Darby Allin, but he called out MJF. Don Callis family comes out. Don Callis says that in order to have a championship match against MJF in the future or anybody else, you have to be one of the Don Callis members of his choosing at Dynasty. And that member is no other than Andrade. Andrade will be taking on Darby Allin. If Darby Allin can beat Andrade, then Darby Allin will have a future title shot, probably against MJF. So that's how they're going to get there. When I said I wonder how they're going to get there with Darby, that's how they're going to get there. And in all honesty, my point, what I really meant by that was if Darby Allin wins and let's say hypothetically Kenny Omega does win, how are they going to get Darby Allin and Kenny Omega to tell that story? I don't see that But again, I think the story is going to be Andrade is going to lose to Darby. Darby's going to win. This will be Andrade's second time having an opportunity to challenge MJF in the world title. His first opportunity was where he won in the tournament. It was in the finals between Hangman at Grand Slam Australia. That was when the winner of that match was going to be the number one contender at Revolution, and ended up being Hangman, which was the right call. We're not going to see him for a while, but basically they're going to probably tell a story with Andrade too, that he's had a couple chances now to compete for the AEW Championship. He has not. Maybe he leaves the Callis family in the future. There's too many members of that Don Callis family, and to me, Kyle Fletcher is the star and the leader of that group. So it is what it is. It is what it is with that one. We're going to get into the main event here between Speedball and MJF. Again, the show flowed out really well. Ever since I've been doing these review shows, ever since I started, the shows have ended at like 9 or at like 9:15, 9:20. And there's just so much to get into, which I like. I don't mind. I love doing. I like having AEW having a lot, but when they finish on time, when they give their main stuff time to breathe, the show actually flows out pretty well. And I think it did tonight. And I thought the main event did as well. But before we get into the main event, let's hear a quick word from G Fuel.
All right, before we keep this energy going, shout out to the sponsor of tonight's stream, G Fuel Energy. If you're watching this live, you already know. We don't do slow reactions, we don't do low energy, we stay locked in. And that's exactly what G Fuel brings to the table. Zero sugar, loaded with focus, and built for long streams just like this. Whether you're grinding, gaming, or watching chaos unfold with us, G Fuel keeps you going. Hit the link in the description, use code PGHCHRIS, and level up your energy the same way we do on Sports Jedi Network. Let's get back to it.
I'm Tom Hannafin from TNA Wrestling. You're watching the Jedi Sports Network.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is our guy Tom Hannafin. You could check out that interview on the Sports Jedi Network. Going into Rebellion. He talks about Rebellion, Syracuse, New York. So go check that out. Hoping to get some TNA talent in the future. But we're on AEW right now, so let's talk about this main event. Let's go home. Let's hit the home run here. 9th inning. MJF and Mike Speedball Bailey. They had a really good match. I think Speedball has had great matches on AEW Dynamite. He's had great matches in AEW, period. Great matches against Kyle Fletcher. Great matches against Okada. Great match tonight here against MJF. I think Speedball is one of the. First off, you got a good reaction. It was a good match. MJF with the American hero, with the American flag dropping out. Again, the crowd was not invested. They were fucking lame. They were boring. They were quiet. And this show actually was good. It was decent. It flowed well. It wasn't a bad show. It's basically what I'm trying to say compared to the other weeks. Overall. And whatever, they did that. Mike Bailey comes out with the Canadian flag. People are starting to cheer him a little bit. He gets, the kicks. He's up on the turnbuckle to kind of taunting. MJF just beats the shit out of him. He did his kicks. MJF worked with him really well. Kenny Omega was on the commentary, which I couldn't stand. I could not stand seeing listening to Kenny Omega being on the commentary table. He just doesn't add anything. He's not very great at it. It was good. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. MJF obviously is not going to lose. Speedball is not going to get his match. They ended here at like 10:01, which was good. They did the shot. They ended where Kenny was checking on Speedball in the ring, where They should have ended where MJF was walking out when Kenny Omega was walking in the ring, and he like raised up the championship like this. They should have went off the air right there, right there. But again, great main event. The main event again came about where in the beginning of the show, during the contract signing, Speedball wanted to challenge MJF. So it was a good match. Classic babyface versus heel, American versus Canada and Canada. I think Speedball is looking great. He's very underrated. I would like to see him be a TNT champion in the future, maybe in Continental champion, maybe win the Continental Classic. I think he's pretty good. He's been having some great matches, pay-per-view level matches on TV. This was a pay-per-view match. I think so. I think this was a pay-per-view level match. And a lot of credit to both those guys. Kenny Omega, they're building up for Dynasty. Dynasty's looking pretty good. We got, again, Darby and Andrade now announced. We got FTR and Cope, which, again, now they're going to be on Collision. FTR is going to be on Collision, so Edge or Cope and Christian are going to follow them there. They're really advertising Collision to be a show because of March Madness. They're not going to be in their normal time slot, and they're going against TNA. So not bad of a show, guys. I enjoyed it. Again, did a couple of the things on the show need to happen? No. The trios match between Kenny, Brody King, and Perry and Ricochet in the Gates of Agony. PAC versus Ospreay, you could debate, but it was still a good match. Again, Chris Jericho coming back is going to be the talk of the town for a lot of people, a lot of wrestling fans. I'm curious to see what you guys had to say. Let me know in the comments section, at me on social media, at Sports Jedi Media on social media, at PGH Chris. Let us know what you thought about AEW tonight. If you're listening on all platforms, I appreciate it. Shout out to all of our guys over at Wrestle Soup. If you're listening to this review on the Wrestle Soup platforms, I appreciate it. I appreciate those guys once again putting my show, our platform as a whole, on your guys' platform. And you know, it's very cool to see the amount of growth. So thank you guys for all that. Thank you to everybody involved. We're going to see where this leads up. We got one more Dynamite before Dynasty. Next week will be the 8th. Dynasty will be the 12th. So we will see. What happens next week on AEW Dynamite. Dynasty review. So Dynasty is going to be on a Sunday once again. So probably going to do what I did on Monday. Monday afternoon, the 13th, will be the AEW Dynasty post-show review. If Kev, maybe I might do it a little same time in case Kev wants to join me. If not, I will be here covering that for you guys. But other than that, guys, tonight's Dynamite flowed very well. The Winnipeg crowd sucked. They kind of made the show. If the Winnipeg crowd was a little bit more energetic and they actually liked what the fuck they paid to go watch, maybe I thought this show was a little bit better. Chris Jericho, again, he's going to be the talk of the town. Curious to see what's next for him. Again, leave your comment about Jericho in the comments or on social media. Make sure you guys check out all of our shows coming up. We got the TNA watch along tomorrow afternoon, as well as Friday Night SmackDown Weekly Wrestling. Go check out my platform on Friday, 6:30. I will be live talking some Steelers football with Bob Quinn, Red Hot Steelers Take. And we're grinding here on this channel, guys. We're grinding here, me and Kev, everybody else involved. We're gonna make this great. Hopefully we get some more TNA talent in the future. We got some cool review shows. Me and Kev are going to do a WrestleMania review or a preview when the fucking full card is actually announced the week of WrestleMania. And stay tuned. Stay tuned to the content. Kev might do some review shows on his end. He does a great job with that. So make sure you guys go check out everything being posted. His son Austin is doing MMA. Um, there's some big things going on in the UFC world, the Netflix fight. So if you're into MMA, go check out Austin here on the Sports Jedi Network for MMA. But with that being said, guys, I have been PGH Chris. Thank you for checking your AEW Dynamite review here on April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day if you celebrate it here on a Wednesday night on the Sports Jedi Network. I am again PGH Chris. Good night. Thank you guys for watching.